In my live stream earlier today, I was talking about this tariff crash and now the recovery that we're getting because there are some renewed trade talks that are very exciting. We saw the price of XRP come back up a little bit, get closer to $2. And today we're seeing a very exciting story about a $1.25 billion deal where there is $3 trillion worth of money being transacted with the new partner that Ripple is teaming up with, actually acquiring a new partner who then intends on using the Ripple ledger. I want to talk to you guys about this story because as we're seeing some renewed optimism about trade talks and we're seeing this positive story about Ripple and XRP, you'd think that things are just going to start shooting up. But I also want to talk about a realistic expectation for what comes next for XRP on this very positive story regarding this Ripple acquisition and the renewed optimism over trade talks. We need to talk about it all. If you've been paying attention to the content we've been putting out, I am a XRP bull. There's no doubt about that. But in the short term, I have been calling for XRP to come back down below $2. And I was exactly right on that. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. But what I have been doing is in the short term, I've been shorting XRP. And I'm going to show you why that was an excellent strategy, but why you need to continue to be cautious. Just because shorting XRP the other day was a good move doesn't mean that it's a good move today. I want to talk to you guys about all this and more. So welcome back to the Crypto Report, everybody. I'm Crypto Kip. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this. Now, to start this thing off, let's just look at where the overall market is today, because I think you need to be understanding of where we're at right now at the time of this recording, okay? Bitcoin's at 78K. By the time you see this video, I actually wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin was a little bit lower, and I wouldn't be surprised if XRP was a little bit lower. This is recorded a few hours in advance. Members on our channel, by the way, get access to this video as soon as it comes out. So if you want to become a member, you can sign up down below for, to get better trading signals if you want to trade. Using our link, you could sign up for Blowfin as well. But XRP sitting at $1.89, it's fine. I mean, if you look at where XRP was for the longest time, guys, XRP was at the 50-cent level, at the 30-cent level forever. It shot up to $3.50. Well, what a great profit-taking opportunity. I was screaming it from the top of a mountaintop, I keep saying this, that XRP could easily come back down to $2. In fact, it could potentially come back down to $1 if we see continued pain for Bitcoin and the traditional market. Now, the traditional market, if you've been paying attention, had a little bit of a bounce today, as did Bitcoin actually, but now that is starting to slip, which is not that surprising to me. There was some very positive stories coming out about new trade talks being engaged with these new reciprocal tariffs that the U.S. put out. Some countries are coming to the table to actually maybe discuss reeling back their existing tariffs that were there before the U.S. started implementing the reciprocal tariffs. Other countries, however, and this is my warning, are not. And China, one of the biggest superpowers in the world besides the U.S., says, this is what they're saying, the U.S. isn't serious about trade talks and warns intimidation, threats, and blackmail aren't the way to engage. China and the rest of the world are determined to fight a trade war to the end. This is China's position right now. Now, probably and arguably the most important country when it comes to trade with the U.S. is going to be China, because if you ever just look at the sticker on the back of anything you buy, you're going to see, oh yeah, made in China. We've got so many products here in the U.S. that are made in China, which is a whole nother thing. Maybe there should be more manufacturing back in the U.S. This has been a discussion going on for years, but this affects crypto, guys. This trade war affects crypto. That is why XRP is back down to below $2. That is why Bitcoin came below $80,000. It's because of the trade war. Now, we had some positive news coming out where the EU, other countries are engaging in trade talks. That's good. That's why we had a bounce today. But the warning I have for you here is that that could be a short-lived bounce. Now, let's talk about the $3 trillion number that I have on the thumbnail and the $1.25 billion deal. Ripple to acquire prime broker Hidden Road for $1.25 billion, expanding the institutional push. Among other things, the deal is expected to strengthen Ripple's stablecoin ambitions, which they are locked and loaded for some success with stablecoins because they are in talks with the CFTC for stablecoins. That is coming. So Ripple has agreed to acquire multiple asset prime brokerage firm Hidden Road for $1.25 billion, marking one of the biggest M&A deals the digital asset industry to date. So this is a big deal for Ripple. Why? Here's the $3 trillion number. Hidden Road clears over $3 trillion annually across foreign exchange, derivatives, digital assets, and fixed income markets with more than 300 institutional clients. So the $3 trillion number, guys, it's real, okay? And this is $3 trillion that could potentially be actually transacted on the Ripple ledger. Why? Because Hidden Road will use Ripple's US dollar-backed stablecoin RLUSD as collateral across its prime brokerage platform that makes RLUSD the first stablecoin enabling efficient cross-margining between traditional and digital asset markets. Hidden Road also plans to migrate its post-trade operations onto the XRP ledger, aiming to reduce costs and streamline the settlement processes, which is the entire point of the XRP ledger. More use case for XRP, more reason to have the XRP price continue to go up into the future. But is this the catalyst that is going to drive XRP up to $5, to $10 or higher tomorrow or the next day? No, absolutely not. In a string of events of more partnerships like this and actual action where Hidden Road actually officially takes the action to use the XRP ledger. Right now, these are just talks. This is a deal that is closed. They're going to buy this Hidden Road. They're going to acquire this Hidden Road entity. Eventually, they're actually going to implement this post-trade operations onto the XRP ledger, but it's not going to happen like that overnight. And it's not going to be a catalyst, one deal that would send XRP to $5. It's going to have to be a string of deals, many deals, mass implementation. XRP, like I've been saying for so many days, has, XRP being used as potentially for tax refunds from the IRS, Hidden Road using the XRP ledger and using XRP for cross-border transactions. This is the world where XRP gets bigger and bigger and bigger and eventually goes to that $5 or $10 price level or even higher, which I think is coming in the future, guys. At the end of the day, you got to remember XRP is the fourth largest cryptocurrency. It's really the third if you exclude stablecoin, which is USDT. And I think one day it's probably going to be bigger than Ethereum. It's cheaper, it's faster, and it seems to get more institutional adoption from banks and for a variety of reasons. So, I'm bullish on Ethereum, but I'm also very bullish on XRP. And in addition to this, I forgot to mention, there is the first ever XRP ETF coming out in the US on today, actually. Now, this is not a spot ETF. We're still waiting on that, but the Tectonic 2x long daily XRP ETF is coming out, and we're still waiting on the actual applications to be approved for the spot XRP ETFs from Grayscale, Wisdom Tree. Eventually, I think BlackRock is going to be doing this in the future, but things are looking up for XRP. Now, for broader markets, there's still uncertainty, guys. Earlier in this video, I said, I'm recording this ahead of time. If you're a member, you get to see this first. If you're seeing this later and you're seeing this just as somebody watching and you stumbled across this video on YouTube, why did I think that maybe the markets are going to be down by the time you're watching this? Because this was a kind of bounce that we saw on the fear of tariffs. Unfortunately, I just don't think these tariffs are going to be resolved in a day. Everybody wants that. You see a huge dip in the S&P 500. The fact that the S&P 500 came down to 5,000 from it was already at 6,000, that's a huge dip for the S&P 500. Bitcoin came from 110K all the way down to $74,000. That is a great buying opportunity. And XRP sitting at $1.90 is also a great buying opportunity. And I'm all about buying these dips, and that's exactly what people are doing, which is why we had the bounce today, especially on some of the optimism about trade talks being, in conversation right now. But we still have a little bit of ways to go before we see clarity on the Fed. Interest rate cuts, odds are actually getting worse for an interest rate cut right now. We need to see clarity on these trade talks. What actually comes of these? We need to see more clarity from China, as I was laying out for you. There's a lot of volatility to trade in crypto. If you want to do some trading for yourself, you can sign up for Blowfin using the link we've got pinned in the comments section and in the chat, in the description for you down below. Up to a $5,000 deposit bonus when you sign up using our link. I'm trading all the time. I wanted to share with you guys as well. I was telling you guys that I'd show you this. I have been shorting XRP recently, and as you can see, the shorts have not been getting hit as hard as the longs. The longs, if you've been longing XRP lately, $743 million worth of longs in the crypto market were liquidated on April 5th, and then another $600 million on April 6th. Long positions, guys, are getting hurt right now because, well, over the last few days, they've been getting hurt because markets have been coming down. This is something we predicted. This is something we called out. I've been shorting it. Right now, honestly, yesterday could have been a good opportunity for a long. I did not take a long. Today, I'm actually looking at just taking a peek at the Ripple price. You're actually seeing, Ripple kind of come back up. We broke through the $2 trend line. I always say long support, short resistance. Now that we've broken through our $2 support, $2 could potentially be resistance. So if you see this come back up and struggle at $2 and hesitate here, and we see some more bearish news, there could be a good opportunity for a short again at $2, and we might see, as I've told you guys, XRP come back down to $1.60, maybe $1.50. I actually originally had this at about $1.58, I think. I found on the lower time frame that this actually bounced down to $1.62, so I've adjusted there. That's a level of support, certainly. And then we're starting to kind of look at some other levels down here. And yeah, it could come back down to $1, guys. We might see XRP settle, maybe at $1.28, maybe at $1.10, something like that. So I'm looking out for levels like that for support, levels of resistance. The one I'm looking at right now for resistance is going to be at $2. Again, now we're below $2. Now it's a level of resistance. So could be a potential short there. Could be a potential for a long if we find a level of support again. But I am saying, I'm staying cautious, right? If you're just DCAing and buying XRP right now, I love it. I love it. Yeah, could it come lower? Fine. You DCA in over time when these markets are low. If you believe something is going to go higher, sure, I get that. But for the long positions right now, I have a lot of hesitancy actually opening up a long on anything right now until I personally get a little more clarity on how these tariffs are going to play out. And as I think a lot of people are thinking like that, I'm looking out for some potential downside. So, I'm not a financial advisor, not financial advice. Again, if you want to trade the volatility, check out the link in the description down below. That's all I got for you in this one. I'm Crypto Kip. This is a Crypto Report. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel DCA HODL. And of course, my friends, I'll see you in the next one. 2 videos here if you want to check them out. Till next time, peace, y'all.